First thing I like to do is approach my vehicle. I'm gonna look for leaks and puddles of dripping fluid on the ground, under the engine, and the underside of the engine and the transmission. After that, I like to check all the lights in the front of my vehicle, my headlights, my reflectors, and my clearance lights, making sure they clean, not missing, not broken, in proper color. Take the time to open up my hood. Go right here and check my exhaust system. This is my exhaust system. It's connected tightly, mounted securely, no loose clamps. Checking for damage, signs of leaking, such as rust or carbon soot. It has no cracks, holes, or severe dents, and I must follow it to the turbo. Here's my turbo. After that, I like to check my engine holes, making sure they're not cracked, worn, frayed, or leaking. I like to check my alternator. My alternator is securely mounted. All wires are securely fastened. It's belt driven. Belt is not frayed, no visible cracks, no loose fibers, no signs of wear. Push belt with hand and it deflects more than a half or 3/4 of an inch. It's excessive. Belt is snug. Now I like to go check my water pump. This is my water pump. My water pump is mounted properly. It's not loose and it's not leaking. It's also belt driven. Belt is not frayed, no visible cracks, no loose fibers, no signs of wear. If I push belt with hand, if it deflects more than a half or 3/4 of an inch, it's excessive. My belt is snug. I like to check my oil. Make sure it's above the refill mark and in a safe operating range. After that, I like to check my power steering pump, which is securely mounted, it's not leaking, and it's gear driven. My air compressor, which is also back here, is securely mounted, not leaking, and it's gear driven. After that, I like to check my coolant, make sure my coolant is at adequate level. I like to check my engine hose, checking for conditions and leaks. I like to check my power storing fluid, check the sight glass for proper level, above the refill mark. I like to check my steering box and hoses, securely mounted, not leaking, no loose or missing nuts and bolts. My steering hose is not damaged and not leaking. After that, I like to check my steering linkage, my arm, rod, link from the steering box to my wheel are not worn or cracked. My joint and socket are not worn or loose, and there's no loose or missing nuts, bolts, and cotter pins. After that, I like to check my spring mount and my hanger. My brackets, bolts, and bushings are in place. My spring hanger is not cracked or broken, and there's no missing or damaged bushings. My leaf spring is not missing, shifted, cracked, or broken. My U-bolts, there's no broken, loose, or missing bolt, including my U-bolt. My shock absorber, securely mounted, not leaking. Brake hoses, not cracked, worn, or frayed. All my couplings and fittings are secure. It's not leaking, and it can supply air. My brake chamber, securely mounted, no cracks or dents. It's not leaking, and no loose or missing clamps. Slack adjuster push rod is securely mounted. There's no bent, broken, loose, or missing parts. And if the brakes were released and pulled by hand, push rod shouldn't move no more than approximately 1 inch. My brake drum and lining has no cracks, holes, or dents, no loose or missing bolts. My brake liners are not worn dangerously thin, and my brake drum and my brake liner has no contaminants such as grease and oil. I like to start by checking my tread depth on my tire. Should be a minimum of 430 seconds. I like to check my condition. My tread is evenly worn. There's no cuts or damage to my tread and to my sidewall. My valve cap and stem is not missing, damaged, or broken. And if I wanted to check my tire inflation, I'd do it by using a proper tire gauge. My rim It's not damaged or bent, and it shouldn't have any welding repairs. And there's no rust trail to indicate that my rim is loose from the wheel. My lug nuts are all present, not loose. There's no rust trails around my nuts. There's no cracks radiating from the lug bolt holes, and there's no distortion of the bolt holes. My hub oil seal is at adequate levels, not leaking. I like to check the lights side of my tractor, clearance lights and turn signals, making sure it's clean, not missing, not broken, in proper color. See, I ain't gonna never change that conversation. My doors, mirrors, and brackets, internal, external mirror brackets, securely mounted, not damaged, free of excessive dust. My door is not damaged. It opens and closes properly. My hinges are secure, and my seal is intact. After that, I like to check my fire extinguisher, which is right here. Properly secured and properly charged. And it's a thing called baggage right here that you'll have to pull to pop this door open. That's where your 3 reflective triangles at, and your smash fuses should be. Next, I like to check my fuel tank and my fuel cap. My fuel tank is secure and my cap is tight, and there's no leaks from my fuel tank and from my fuel cap. Next, I want to make sure I have 3 screen warning reflective triangles and electrical spare fuses. My reflector is present and securely affixed to the vehicle. My clearance lights are clean, not missing, not broken, in proper color. My header board is secure, strong enough to contain cargo, free of damage, and no missing rivets. My air connectors are sealed and in good conditions. My glad hands are locked in place and free of damage. My electric connector is firmly seated, locked in place on both the truck and the trailer. My air lines are not crimped, cracked, chafed, taped, tangled, pinched, spliced, worn, not dragging on tractor pull. My electrical lines are not crimped, cracked, chafed, taped, tangled, pinched, spliced, worn. My insulation is not cut and is also not dragging on tractor pull. After that, I like to check my longitudinal frame. There's no cracks or bends in my longitudinal frame member, and there's no bent, broken, cracked, loose, or missing cross member. My drive shaft is not bent, twisted, or cracked. My U-joints appear to be secure and free of foreign objects. My torque on torsion bar securely mounted, not damaged. My brake hoses not cracked, worn, or frayed. Our couplers and fittings are secure. It's not leaking, and it can supply air. My brake tangle securely mounted. Has no cracks or dents. It's not leaking, and no loose or missing clamps. It's like just a push rod. Securely mounted. There's no bent, broken, loose, or missing parts. And if the brakes were released and pulled by hand, my push rod shouldn't move no more than approximately 1 inch. My spring mount and my hanger, my brackets, bolts, and bushings are in place. There's no cracked or broken spring hanger and no missing or damaged bushings. My leaf spring It's not missing, shifted, cracked, or broken. My U-bolts. There's no broken, loose, or missing bolt, including my U-bolt. Shock absorber. Securely mounted. Not leaking. Brake drum and liners. There's no cracked holes. No loose or missing bolts. Brake liners are not worn dangerous thin. And my brake drum and my brake liner has no contaminants such as grease and oil. My bud spacing is evenly spaced, not damaged, free of foreign objects. I like to take my tire tread depth. Should be a minimum of 230 seconds. After that, I like to check my condition. My tread is evenly worn. There's no cuts or damage to my tread and to my sidewall. My valve cap and stem is not missing, damaged, or broken. And if I want to check my tire inflation, I'll do it by using a proper tire gauge. My rim is not damaged or bent, and it shouldn't have any welding repairs. And there's no rust trail to indicate that my rim is loose from the wheel. My lug nuts are all present, not loose. There's no rust trails around my nuts. There's no cracks radiating from the lug bolt holes, and there's no distortion of the bolt holes. My axle seal is not leaking. My air mounts, airbag mount bolts are in place and not damaged. My airbag is not damaged and is not leaking. My apron is not cracked, bent, or broken. My gap, my trailer is laying flat on my fifth wheel skid plate, and there's no space in between my apron and my fifth wheel skid plate. My fifth wheel skid plate is properly lubricated, securely mounted to my platform, and all bolts and pins are secure and not missing. My release arm is secure all the way in the engaged position, and my safety latch is in place. My platform, there's no cracks or breaks to my platform structure, which supports my fifth wheel skid plate. My sliding fifth wheel, there's no leaks in my airlines, no loose or missing pins in my sliding mechanism of the fifth wheel. My locking pins are fully engaged, and my fifth wheel is positioned properly to my tractor frame to where it clears my landing gear during turns. My mount bolts, there's no loose or missing bracket, clamps, nuts, and bolts. And both fifth wheel and sliding mount appears to be solidly attached in place. Now all this here I can walk right past because I done already covered all this up here. So I can freely walk past all this. My kingpin. Lock and jaw holds my kingpin in place, and my kingpin is not bent or damaged. My lock and jaw is secure around my kingpin. All my lights and my reflectors are clean, not missing, not broken, and proper color. And my DOT reflector tape is present and securely affixed to the vehicle. My mud flap splash guard is securely mounted, not damaged. Watch yourself, watch yourself. My trailer frame. There's no cracks or bends in my longitudinal frame member. There's no bent, broken, cracked, loose, or missing cross member. And there's no breaks or holes in my box and in my trailer floor. My landing gear is fully raised, no loose or missing parts. My crank handle is secure, and my support frame and my landing pad is not damaged. And my clearance lights are clean, not missing, not broken, in proper color. And my DOT reflector tape is present and securely affixed to the vehicle. Turn signal, clearance lights, clean, not missing, not broken, proper color. DOT reflector tape, present, securely affixed to the vehicle. Clearance lights, clean, not missing, not broken, in proper color. DOT reflector tape, present and securely affixed to the vehicle. Clearance lights. Clean, not missing, not broken, proper color. Check my tandem release. Locker pins are in place, locked in place, and my tandem release is secure. Spring mount and my hanger. My brackets, bolts, and bushings are in place. There's no cracked or broken spring hangers, and no missing or damaged bushings. My leaf spring is not missing, shifted, cracked, or broken. My U-bolts, there's no broken, loose, or missing bolt, including my U-bolt. My torque arm, securely mounted, not damaged. Brake drum and liners, has no cracks, holes, or dents, no loose or missing bolts. My brake liners are not worn dangerously thin, and my brake drum and brake liner has no contaminants such as grease and oil. My bud spacing is evenly spaced, not damaged, free of foreign objects. Like to take my tread depth, should be a minimum of 2/32. My condition, the tread is evenly worn. There's no cuts or damage to the tread and to the sidewall. My valve cap and stem is not missing, damaged, or broken. And if I wanted to check my tire inflation, I'd do it by using the proper tire gauge. My rim is not damaged or bent, shouldn't have any welding repairs, and there's no rust shred to indicate that my rim is loose from the wheel. Lug nuts are all present, not loose, no rust shreds around my nuts. There's no cracks radiating from the lug bolt holes, and there's no distortion of the bolt holes. My axle seal is not leaking. I can walk past all this here because I done covered all this. DOT reflector tape is present, securely affixed to the vehicle. Clearance lights are clean, not missing, not broken, in proper color. My door tie is secure. My brake hoses are not cracked, worn, or frayed. All my couplings and fittings are secure, not leaking, can supply air. Brake chamber, securely mounted, not leaking, has no cracks or dents, and no loose or missing clamps. It's like just a push rod, securely mounted. There's no bent, broken, loose, or missing parts. And if the brakes were released and pulled by hand, my push rod shouldn't move no more than approximately 1 inch. My mud flap splash guard, securely mounted, not damaged. My doors and my hinges, secure, not damaged. My door's not damaged. Open, closes, latches properly, and my door ties are secure. All my lights, tail lights, brake lights, turn signals, clearance lights are clean, not missing, not broken, in proper color. And my DOT reflector tape is present and securely affixed to the vehicle. Now I'm ready for my end cab. That's it.